The dining room went silent the moment Grace Miller was forced to open her mouth in front of 40 guests. Vanessa Cole, dressed in blood-red silk, pressed a cold slab of raw meat against the young maid's lips. "Eat it," Vanessa hissed. "Right now." Grace's hands shook. Tears rolled down her face. 40 of the wealthiest people in the county watched and said nothing. Then the front doors of the mansion swung open. The man everyone feared most walked in. But no one in that room knew what he was about to do. 3 hours earlier, Grace had been humming in the kitchen, ironing napkins for the party. She was 19. She worked at the Ashford estate to pay for her mother's medicine. Folded neatly in her apron pocket was the pharmacy receipt, a reminder of why she couldn't afford to lose this job. Grace had grown up 2 streets from the mansion, in a small house with a leaking roof and a kitchen table older than she was. Her father had died when she was 12. Her mother never fully recovered, not in health, not in heart. The other staff loved Grace. She was gentle, quick to smile, always the first to help an older co-worker carry a heavy tray. Tonight was Michael Ashford's engagement dinner. Grace had polished the silverware herself, hoping the night would go smoothly. She had no idea it would become the worst night of her life. Vanessa Cole arrived wearing diamonds worth more than Grace's entire neighborhood. She was beautiful, polished, and cold in a way most people mistook for elegance. From the moment she walked in, she treated the staff like furniture. "You," she snapped at Grace during the appetizers. "This plate is wrong." Grace apologized and quietly replaced it. She was used to difficult guests. But something about Vanessa felt different. Sharper. Crueler. At the head of the table, Michael's grandmother, Eleanor, noticed the way Vanessa's eyes followed Grace around the room, like she was hunting for a reason to strike. Henry, the family's longtime butler, noticed it too. He had worked for the Ashfords for 30 years. He'd seen plenty of difficult fiancés. He had never seen one like this. Halfway through dinner, Vanessa stood up suddenly, holding a raw cut of meat from the kitchen tray. "Since the help enjoys embarrassing me," she announced to the stunned table, "let's see how she likes being embarrassed." The guests froze. No one dared to speak. Grace stood there, humiliated, as Vanessa forced the raw meat toward her mouth. What none of them knew was that Henry had already slipped into the hallway. And he was dialing Michael's number. Grace didn't fight. She didn't scream. She simply closed her eyes and let the tears fall, because losing this job meant losing her mother's medicine, and she had learned long ago that silence was sometimes the only thing she could afford. The guests looked away, ashamed of their own silence. A little girl at the far end of the table, Vanessa's niece, began to cry. "Stop it," the girl whispered. "Please stop." Vanessa ignored her. Eleanor rose from her seat, her cane trembling in her hand. "Vanessa, that is enough. Stay out of this, Eleanor. This girl needs to learn her place." No one noticed Henry slip back into the room. No one noticed the small nod he gave toward the hallway. Because at that exact moment, the front doors opened. Michael Ashford stood in the doorway, still in his coat, his face pale with fury. He had left a business dinner the second Henry called. He said nothing at first. He simply watched, Vanessa's hand pressed to Grace's face, the girl's tears, the frozen guests. "Put it down," Michael said quietly. "Now." Vanessa spun around, her face shifting instantly into a practiced smile. "Michael, sweetheart, it was just a joke. The staff needs discipline. I know exactly what this is." His voice was calm, but it cut through the room like glass. "Henry has been sending me the security footage from this house for 2 weeks. I know how you speak to my staff when you think I'm not watching. I know about the cook you fired for spilling coffee. I know about the housekeeper you threatened last month." Vanessa's smile collapsed. Michael walked past her and knelt beside Grace, gently taking the meat from her trembling hands and setting it on the table. "I'm sorry," he told her softly. "I should have stopped this sooner." Grace could only nod, too stunned to speak. Then Michael said something that made the entire room fall silent again. Grace, do you know why I hired you the moment I saw your last name on the application? She shook her head. Because 18 years ago, your father pulled my father out of a burning warehouse. He nearly died saving him. My father never forgot that. Neither did I. Gasps spread through the room. Vanessa stared, speechless, as the truth she never bothered to learn came crashing down around her. Michael stood and faced his fiancée. This engagement is over. Security escorted Vanessa out as she shouted excuses no one believed anymore. The guests, ashamed of their silence, began to apologize to Grace one by one. But the real change happened in the weeks that followed. Michael personally covered Grace's mother's medical treatment, the same debt Grace had been quietly drowning in for years. He set up a scholarship fund in her father's name, so other kids in the neighborhood could go to college the way Grace never thought she could. Grace kept working at the estate, not out of necessity anymore, but because she had become part of the family in every way that mattered. Eleanor took her under her wing, teaching her things her own mother never had the strength to teach. Henry, the butler who quietly changed everything with one phone call, became like an uncle to her. Months later, at Thanksgiving dinner, Grace sat at the same table, where she had once been humiliated, laughing with people who now called her family. When Michael raised his glass that night, he looked at her and said, "To second chances, and to the people who remind us who we really are." Grace smiled through tears, different tears this time, and lifted her glass too. Sometimes the smallest act of kindness, given years before, becomes the greatest legacy of all. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who still believes kindness can change the world. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so leave a comment below.